season is over. It's brothers, the friendly is rolling in clover. The team in the blue and the white, it's the brothers, the team that's superior to all the others when games are
Well, brothers have a tremendous challenge in front of them today, and I know the players have been revving themselves up for a big performance, David.
Yes, and I think they'll give it, Warren. They're desperate, these guys, to put in a very good effort today, and what a good day it's been for brothers. They got 3 sides here into the grand final. The Colts were unsuccessful, but the reserve grade defeated Valleys a little while ago. So brothers have had a taste of victory already, but they'll certainly be looking to the big match, the one that's on in a couple of minutes' time against Wynnum Manly, to really show their wares.
David, all the talk's been about brothers' defence through the week. Do you think they can come up with some surprise tactics?
Well, I think what they've got to also look for is the kicking, Warren. That'll be important.
As Wynnum Manly flags come out on the field, of course they're the hot favourites and deserve to be.
They deserve to be, Warren. They've had a great season already. They've won every trophy that's been available in Brisbane this season. They won the Woolies when they defeated Brothers 10 points to 8. They then accounted for Redcliffe in the State League final, 46 points to 10. In the Woolies Trophy final, they defeated Valleys 20 points to 4. So there's 3 teams that had a shot at them in the major trophy matches. Brothers get their second chance, and let's remember that Brothers were only defeated by 2 points. There's a great aerial shot there of the spectacular, the Winfield Cup Grand Final for 1986. And probably when we look at it, 2 of the best sides in the Brisbane competition. Undoubtedly, Wynnum Manly were always expected to make the grand final, and brothers have fought very hard to ensure that they're their combatants today.
Certainly going to be a battle of experience versus youth when you go through the sides. Wynnum Manly with all the stars, with the up-and-comers of the brothers.
There's the brothers team coming out onto the field now, and they look very serious. There's the brothers team. Moore at fullback, the young fellow. O'Brien and Burns on the wing. Late replacement yesterday. What a shame for brothers. Joe Kilroy can't take the field, but the experienced Johnny Cap comes on to partner Robert Gregan in the centres. The halves, Gill and Greg Smith. And in the forward pack, Staines, McElwain, Gary Smith, Baumba, Bailey and Carter. The coach, Ross Broderick. What a moment for brothers. It's been 12 years since they made the grand final. And the players have done very well to get there. They've won 7 straight to make the grand final here today. And I'm sure they're going to account for themselves very, very well. There's the players. A couple of short haircuts in that team too. Bailey's got one very close crop. So's McElwain. There's Steve Carter. A little bit of mean machine about this side today. And they've had pressure on them over the last couple of weeks. They had to defeat Valleys in the knockout semi. They then had to defeat Redcliffe. But all along, they've known that the Seagulls were the side that would have to be beaten if they were going to take out the Winfield Cup for 1986. The Boos, captain coach of Wynnum Manly, captain of Australia, Wally Lewis. Look fair dinkum, as does the remainder of the side. Peter Dawes running out there too. Have a look at that, the Wynnum Manly side. What a side it is. Probably the last time we'll see them together. Colin Scott at fullback, Scott Lewis and Scott Nichols on the wings, Naylor and Miles in the centres, Lewis at 5'8", Dawes with the injury to his arm, lining up once again, not 100% fit, Lindner, French Green, Jenner, Ferrugia and Dowling. What a football team it is, capable of beating any side in Australia, any club side in Australia. They'd be the equal of anything in Sydney, but they still got to produce it on the day. There's Wally Lewis. He realises the disappointment of last year. They were red-hot favourites last year too when they came up against the Magpies, who had Mel Meninga, Belcher, Elias, and certainly there was plenty of pressure on them then. There's more pressure this year. Wally Lewis in his first year as captain coach. We've got Bernie Pramberg on the sideline. Bernie, what's the feeling like down there at the moment?
Well, it's quite electric, David, as you'd expect. Grand final time. Brothers won the toss. Trevor Bailey donned Ross Strudwick's controversial royal blue cowboy hat when he tossed with Wally Lewis, and it appears as if the brothers' side will run towards the Milton Road end, and that'll be into what is a very slight breeze. So if there is any breeze down here, Wynnum will have the advantage in the first half. A couple of notable visitors to the brothers' dressing room just prior to the kick-off. Peter Gallagher, the former Test skipper, was in there, and a couple of that 68 brothers' side, players like Barry Dowling and Wayne Abdi. The Wynnum Manly side, very composed. The only player we saw come out of the dressing room in the 30 minutes preceding their running onto the ground was Peter Dawes, who went to the medical room, obviously to have pain-killing injections for that injured right arm of his, which, of course, he carried through in the major semi-final. Referee Eddie Ward in control today. It's his 7th grand final, and that's an all-time record for Brisbane Rugby League. We're just about set for the kick-off.
Wally Lewis had a very angry look on his face as he came out. Very determined, Lewis. And there's the kick-off for the 1986 Rugby League Grand Final. Lewis putting it down into the in-goal. Burns has to reach high to gather. Now running it up to meet the Wynnum defence. In they swarm. Jenner there with Ferrugia. Expect to see Ferrugia making plenty of tackles. Staines. Again, Ferrugia meets him with help there from Jenner once more also. Bailey. McElwain. McElwain doesn't need to get his hair cut any shorter. Now it comes from Smith to Gill. Grogan quickly moving it wide.
Well, there's a brawl on in the back play. There's plenty of fist flying too.
Bomber in there,
This
Naylor.
is unexpected, really. It wasn't expected this would erupt. The stacks on the mill, players going in over the top, most looking to try and break it up at the moment. But certainly unsettling tactics here. Gene Miles has got one player down. Wynnum on top of another Brisbane Brothers player. McElwain, that's him on flat on his back. And then in the background there, Gene Miles just getting off the top of Steve Carter. Wally Lewis trying to cool things down, but the match has erupted. Looks like there's an injured player in the Wynnum Manly camp. Looks to be Scott Lewis. So somewhat unexpected, really. And there's Greg Dowling, I should say, having plenty to say at the moment. There's the Wynnum Manly bench having a pretty keen look. They've jumped up to have a close look at this one. And quite surprising, really. In the very early stage of the match was completely unexpected, and Wally Lewis trying to cool things down.
Referee Eddie Ward having a few words with Peter Dawes at the moment. Reports from both touch judges. Carter there with his captain Bailey. Lewis there listening to Ward speaking with Dawes.
Good refereeing by Ward, really, Warren, because the play went well away from that incident, and he was very quick to spot it and come back to it.
Now Scott Lewis being called over. Dawes with that arm heavily strapped when he was getting the caution. You could see the padding on it.
And in the heat of the moment, the clock is still counting down. Eddie Ward hasn't called time off. The clock now still counting down, and not good refereeing by Ward.
Apparently there could be some problem with the clock, just a little bit of a few seconds here and there. So
The penalty
goes to Brothers.
There's a good crowd in the outer, soaking up the sunshine and soaking up the action.
Burns will look for touch.
And this is a relieving penalty for Brothers. They really did need to get out of their own quarter-way line. They had moved the ball just prior to that incident to try and outskirt Wynnum Manly, and now they get a chance to forge up into midfield.
Bailey takes the tap, works the blind side, now comes back for O'Brien, and strong defence from the two Wynnum props, Dowling and Jenner. Bailey sends it out to Smith, Gill, dummy cell, crashed over, strong tackle from Lindner, knocked him flat. Going back the other way, Smith to Staines, puts the kick in behind the winger, rolling for touch, finds a good kick from Staines, takes play midway between the quarter and halfway, Wynnum end of the field.
Well, a good start to the match, really, because Wynnum Manly have showed that they're fair dinkum. They've done all the defending so far. They have not had their hands on the football, but this side is just not a pretty side. They're quite capable of doing plenty of defence as well, but Brothers haven't been flustered. Good little kick.
Interesting to see that early eruption. If anything, you would think it would come from Brothers rather than Wynnum Manly.
Yes, surprising, and the penalty had gone to Brothers. Now here we are. Eddie Ward got the Brothers scrum for moving off the mark, and now Wynnum Manly with their first touch of the football. Lewis to find touch.
A little bit of blood coming from Scott Lewis's nose. Now Lewis calming things down, takes his time. And a good kick midway between Brothers quarter and halfway. Green running strongly, crashes into the defence. Carter over the top. Referee keeping a close eye on it. Dowling takes a mark. Oh, strong tackle from Carter. Bang, he goes into Dowling.
The crowd appreciating it too.
Ferrugia now takes it on Carter again. Help there as well.
Have a look at this hit on Greg Dowling. He's one of the front rowers in Australia at the moment, and bang, you get hit by two, you go down. Steve Carter took the most of it. Wynnum Manly making a little bit of a mistake there, but they still got a hold of the ball though.
Brothers defence is swarming up, putting pressure on Wynnum. Long pass from Lewis to French standing wide. Tries to get away from Bailey, can't. Now he does swing away from the tackle. Good run from French. Looked like they had him. Now it comes through Dawes to Lewis. Kicks in behind the backs. Going back as Burns. Gathers it well. Lindner there on him with Naylor.
Well read by Jeff Burns. The whole line went up, but Burns dropped back and was in perfect position.
From dummy half is Clinton Moore. 20 years of age.
What a good start to the grand final.
Plenty of fire from both sides. Greg Smith from dummy half. Nichols grabs him by an ankle. Green over the top.
He'll play it, Green.
Dummy to Bournemouth. Staines has dropped it. Fallen on by Nichols for Wynnum.
The brothers can ill afford those mistakes inside their own territory. Penalty.
Penalty inside the 5. The brothers' backs, Jill in particular, coming up too quickly.
Absolute gift this one for Wynnum Manly. But gee, it's been a good start to the final. Some great front on defence, very little breaks. We had a little one from Ian French a little while ago, but brothers just then making a mistake inside their own territory. They've elected to run into the slightest little breeze, but certainly they would have had the option of being able to kick downfield. Dowling and Mal Green having a couple of words, and Dowling feeling that neck, and I'd say it's a Steve Carter jar in there because he hit him with everything he possibly could. Dowling almost assured of a kangaroo tourist berth, especially with the withdrawal of Big Peter Tunks, and Dowling was really being jarred. He hit him with everything, Steve Carter, and Big Greg Dowling feeling the effects of it.
And of course, Carter, the lightest of all the front rowers. He's about 10 kilos less than Jenner, Dowling or Ray Bournemouth.
It'll be interesting to see whether Dowling can get over that. That psychologically can be a bit of a blow to you. You want to forget about it.
Colin Scott, 18 metres out, right in front. His record with a boot this season, 56% success rate. He's kicked 40 from 71 attempts. Should be able to hit this one over. It's at low, but it's through the post. So first points on the board for Wynnum Manly. They lead 2-0 after 7 minutes.
What a wobbly old kick it was for Colin Scott too. He wouldn't have wanted to be any further out from goal because I'd say he would have missed it. But that's the first 2 points of the match, and a bit of a confidence booster, a little bit of a settling down time now. Players have had time to stand around, have a bit of a talk to one another. Now brothers with their stacked defensive pattern are going to have a go at Wynnum Manly inside their own territory.
Captain Trevor Bailey restarts. Wynnum were rattled early on by their brothers' defence. A couple of times Lewis was looking to get the ball wide and couldn't do it. But that 2 points on the board, of course, we all said before the game, first scorers were going to be very important. Brothers needed to get some points on the board fairly early in this match.
I think Wynnum will play it down this end of the field for too long.
Nichols to play the ball. Dowling.
Another one.
Inside the 5, the defence too eager.
The brothers are going to want to be careful. Obviously, they realise they've got to get up on Wynnum Manly, and interesting to see whether Ward is consistent throughout the game. Obviously, referees looking. There's Dan Staines having plenty to say. Get back the distance. It's all very well to have a great defensive pattern in the line, but you're going to give away territory like this. This is easy ground. There's Lewis, and he makes the most of it too. That's a good kick.
Lewis gaining 30 metres. Now here comes Dowling, running strongly. It's well tackled. Carter in there with Smith. Jenner now. Lindner close to the ruck.
Got into offside again. And he's right too. Brothers have been coming out very quickly. Be interesting to see here whether Scotty has a shot for goal. There was a little bit of a fumble at the play the ball though, which is a bit of a surprise. Penalties at the moment favouring the Seagulls 4-1. There's Gary Smith walking back somewhat disappointed. Scotty's going to have a shot for goal, this time nearly 30 metres out. He'd want to hit the ball a lot better. There it is. There's a good indication of the distance from the post, and he'd want to hit the ball a lot better than what he did last time. Just flexing that foot. Obviously he wasn't happy with the way he hit the ball first time around.
And the penalty slowing down the momentum of the game just a bit because brothers really want to rattle and move up and put the pressure on Wynnum Manly, but the penalties are slowing it down and doing it Wynnum Manly's way.
Yeah, Bernie, how have you seen things so far from the referee's point of view? Brothers are moving up quickly.
Well, we've only had 9 minutes of play, David, and as you say, all the penalties certainly have been warranted. 3 of the 4 penalties against brothers have been for offside play in the rucks, and I think they've been justified. He's got to establish authority early, and let's face it, it's early days yet.
So Colin Scott, more difficult shot this time, 30 metres out. Hits this one well, and 2 more points. So Wynnum skip away to an early 4-0 lead on the back of the penalties.
I think brothers are going to have to learn their lesson. I think they probably thought they could take liberties with Eddie Ward being a final. They thought maybe just a first penalty would be the only one that would count. And then they'd be allowed a little bit of leeway in the offside department. He's not going to allow that. But Wynnum Manly will not want to think that this is going to be easy meat now. That's only 4 points. There's a long way to go.
Restart again from Bailey. High for Scott. McElwain up there to meet him. Right around the ankles. Miles through the middle. Dowling looking for that kangaroo berth, not shirking the hard work today. Perugia quickly wrapped up by Gill. Dawes switches it to Lewis. Again onto Miles. Miles almost away from one. Bomber there quickly over the top. Smith was round his ankles. Lewis has to hurry into dummy half. Nichols, good tackle again. The defence coming up strongly.
Craig Perugia very groggy after that last tackle. They could ill afford to lose their hooker.
Last tackle. Green kicks from dummy half. Out on the full.
Oh, what a psychological boost that one is for Brothers. Wynnum Manly have been flustered here. Not very often we see Mel Green called into the kicking role, and when he did, he put it out on the full. Touch judges on to make a report.
Wynnum were disorganised there, but Brothers were lucky not to get hit for another penalty inside the 5. They were off standing in front of the referee again.
And we'll talk here, Steve Carter with Eddie Ward. Scrum to pat.
Greg Smith feeds. Brothers ball. Out to Gill. Moving it wide to Grogan. Grogan tries to beat Miles on the outside. And Miles wrestles him to the ground. Plenty of Wynnum defence there, quickly up on the backs. Clinton Moore. Inside Jenner. Green just gathers him in. Smith. Staines. Can't get away from French. Out now to Smith again. Gill. Grogan quickly on. Dropped it is by Johnny Tapp. Naylor can't handle. Still on the ground. Dowling dives on it.
Brothers showing they're very keen to move the ball around, but they can't afford to surrender possession.
Green. Already Brothers have been prepared to move the ball wide, not just keeping it in the forwards. Nichols. Dowling up the middle. Gary Smith moves in. Staines comes over the top. Dawes. Lewis long pass to Scott on the burst. Grogan is it just no tap just around his ankles and pulls him down. Desperate tackle. Miles. Last tackle just short of the halfway line. Dawes. Lewis. Kicks high and long. Moore waiting underneath it. Takes it well. Naylor away from him. A good tackle from Lindner. Jeff Burns to dummy half. Makes 10 metres. Bomber. Jenner after him. Carter tries to push away from French. And half-back Doors in there again. Smith, Gill, Tapp. Running strongly, Tapp playing in the centres after Kilroy pulled out. Gill on the last tackle. Gets a rubber kick along the ground up to Nichols. And Gill there to make the tackle. Gill doesn't miss a tackle very often.
He's a good front-on defender, and he'll be looking to get a couple of big ones on Wally Lewis, but he's not the easiest man to mark, of course.
Perugia has it. Long pass out to Miles. Miles sets sail down the far touchline. Carter across with a magnificent tackle from the front rower. And Miles had everyone beaten except for Carter. Dawes, poor pass for Dowling. It swung away. French manages to pick it up on the bounce. Lewis gets the kick away. Good kick from Lewis going towards touch and finds it 20 metres out.
You see the skill of Wally Lewis there, the ability to get that ball to roll on, kicking onto the top of the ball, landed well inside the field of play and then ran continually straight into touch. So putting Wynnum Manly on the attack.
This early stage, we've certainly got a contest on our hands. Smith has to go back for it. He's knocked it on. Bad mistake by the halfback.
What a mistake now. Peter Dawes rushes around and says, OK, it's my turn this time. Loose head and feed, Wynnum Manly.
Hooker's down, but Dawes has it. Slips a little one to Nichols. Gary Smith out of the scrum to gather him.
Lewis wants the ball.
Lindner works Lewis on the blind, pops it for Jenner. Jenner taken by Smith. Perugia, Lewis in there working play. Good pass to Dowling, but he's knocked it on. And Dowling would have had the momentum probably to crack that line.
Yeah, I think the little dummy from Lewis might have even upset Dowling's timing. He thought he was going to get it first. Lewis dummy, took another pace, and Dowling couldn't read it.
See Lewis getting in there, controlling play close to the line. Smith feeds after that let off for Brothers.
Good to see Eddie Ward letting the scrums let the ball get in and get out. We've got a grand final on here. No time to start teaching players how to pack scrums.
Good run from Burns. Staines.
Penalty.
Inside the 5 were French and Dawes moving up too quickly.
Penalties at the moment, 4-2 in favour of Wynnum Manly. The scrums in favour of Brothers, 3-1. There hasn't been a tight head as yet. Brothers once again taking their time. They've got the penalty. Taking a breather. They know Wynnum Manly like to play the game at a fast and furious pace. Burns walks up, takes the mark, says just there sir, then takes it back nice and steady. They're buying time.
Burns will be kicking just into the slight breeze that's favouring Wynnum Manly in this half. Just fluttering the flags.
Oh, didn't find touch, bad kick.
Scott Lewis. Well, that's a terrible mistake. Can't afford to make basic errors like that. Dowling. Dawes, run around with Perugia. French getting involved is French, and Lindner was on the burst, but Grogan just got inside him. Lewis has a little run, held by McElwain. Colin Scott held on to by the defence. It was Bailey making the tackle. Now Will Lewis works the blind with Jenner. To Dowling. Dowling quickly makes a break, looking for support. French, it bounces off his chest. Going loose, dived on by Brothers. Referee will play the knock on.
Wynnum Manly finding those gaps around about 10 metres off the touchline. It was always the danger with Brothers' defensive pattern, the way it converges around to play the ball. Touch judges on to make a report. So let's have a look at it after they've done the hard work. Dowling fires the ball back inside GE, and French should have taken that one. That was a perfect pass from Dowling, and he's having a good game. Bernie from down there on the sideline, how are things looking?
Well, still pretty tight, as you say. A couple of opportunities which have just gone begging on the final pass from Wynnum Manly. The caution and the touch judge report referred to a tackle on Miles a couple of minutes ago. You may recall he made that break and got to his feet. Carter finished it off over the top. Miles complained to the touch judge, and Carter has just been out for a caution.
That was Carter's second caution of the match. Smith has it for Brothers. Staines looking for more. Green makes the tackle, and Dawes dives in on top. Gary Smith.
There's the Brothers bench, and Joey Kilroy there on the left-hand side. Tony Ray as well, Johnny McGraw. There's Joey Kilroy, and he'll obviously get some chance at some stage in the match. Originally selected in the side, but has got back problems at the moment. But I'm sure Strudwick would love to use him at some stage.
Gary Smith. Now it's Bailey, a dummy half to Staines. Gets a good kick away, going back behind Scott Lewis. Long kick from Staines. Fence down there. Grogan with tap. Centres combining to put the winger down. Colin Scott. And the forward defence meets him quickly at the advantage line. Dowling slips to Nichols. Miles drops it and fallen on by Dowling, cleaning up the mistake. But Miles really wasn't concentrating.
Wynnum Manly dropping ball not only when they're in good attacking position but also in defence. There's Nichols trying to pop it up to Miles. Miles really didn't get his hands anywhere near that ball. Good chance for Brothers now to go on the attack deep inside Wynnum territory.
Brothers ball once more. Out it goes across the backs. Grogan quickly onto Tap. Tap has the ball knocked out of his arms and Naylor has it. Pops a good pass up for Nichols, the winger. In from the far side. Nichols obviously coming across in cover defence, was on the spot to turn defence into attack. French. Oh, Ferrugia's dropped it, wasn't expecting the pass. Should have taken it nevertheless.
Well, as we've said before, ability doesn't necessarily win grand finals, it's attitude, and Ferrugia should have been on the ball there, was ready thinking that he was going to be dummy half and should have been ready to take the pass.
Wynnum Manly leading Brothers 4-0 midway through the first half. Tap, wrestled to ground. Lewis holding his wrist. Gill. Naylor there with Lindner. Staines. Plenty of work from Staines so far in the match, defence and attack.
Yeah, he's made a couple of good runs. That was a good one, that one down that blind side.
Gill sends it out to Grogan. Grogan skirting wide. Nice tackle from his opposite number, Naylor. Moore. Quick off the mark is the fullback. Last tackle. 32 metres out. Right in the centre of the field. Bailey tries to go for the bomb. It rebounds. Staines has it.
6 to go. Not a knock on, but it is designated a touch of the ball.
Carter from dummy half. Skirting wide and crashes into the defence. Jenner there with Green. Naylor rather. Bailey. Inside the 22. Pressure on Wynnum. Lewis tries to rake it back. 6 more tackles. Out now Staines. Gill trying to make the break. French and Miles wrap him up. Staines holds the ball in front of him as Dowling comes in. Now with Scary Smith. Lewis, nice tackle. Drives him into the ground.
Yeah, he spotted that gap at his defensive line too, moved to it and then just took Smith straight out.
Carter winding up. Looks inside, couldn't get the pass away. Only 2 metres out. Chance for Brothers. Bailey, Smith, Gill. Long one to Grogan, keeping it moving through Tap. Moore has it. Flings it back inside, there's no one there. Confusion, Tap has it. Wrestling away from the tackle. Last tackle, just inside the 22-metre line. Bailey puts it up high. Pressure on Colin Scott. Lewis standing in front of him, protecting. Bounces loose. Bailey has it. Goes backwards and diving in is Ferrugia.
Well, we saw Brothers use the high ball in the knockout semi-final to good effect, and they put plenty of pressure on Wynnum Manly there. Obviously, Strudwick has decided that's the sort of tactic. Wynnum Manly with a very good defensive line, quite close to their line. Once you put that ball in the air, anything can happen.
Bailey receiving some attention. Now it's Ferrugia. Loses the ball, and Bomber dives on it. Another chance for Brothers.
Under pressure.
Greg Smith. Cut out pass for Grogan in the gap. Comes to Lewis. Bounces away from him, but Lewis made the tackle. Carter, determined, takes on Dowling. Swings away from him. They hold on. Ferrugia there with Jenner. More pressure on the Seagulls. Brothers forwards, lining up, ready to hit it. Staines. Held on by Colin Scott. Wynnum is thin out wide. Gill holds up the puck, goes himself straight through. Race Peter Gill. First try to Brothers. That evens up the score 4-all.
What a great try from Peter Gill. We saw him have a terrific game last week. The supporters are going crazy. So are the Brothers team. They've got the first try of the match, a deserving one. Wynnum Manly have put pressure on themselves by making too many errors inside their own territory. There were gaps on the outside, as Warren called it, and Gill threw the big dummy, stepped off, went straight for the line, and that's the sort of positive attitude you've got to have. When you get near that line, you've got to be hungry for it. Let's have a look. Brothers had Wynnum Manly in trouble out here on this left-hand side. You can see how thin the Wynnum Manly defence is. Greg Smith fires the ball to Gill. The dummy, the step, Naylor went the wrong way. So did Gene Miles. The second step, straighten up, go for the line, son. Wally Lewis can't stop him. Good try from Peter Gill. Let's have a look at it from the head on. Wynnum Manly very thin on the left-hand side. The ball goes through the halves. Smith, Peter Gill, look at this dummy and see all the defence go. Took a lot of them, 3, and then no one in position to make the tackle. Wally Lewis in cover defence, too late.
Trevor Bailey with a chance to put Brothers in front, and what a boost for the confidence that'll be. 10 metres to the right-hand side of the uprights. And the flags are up, so Brothers hit the lead, 6 points to 4, 15 minutes remaining in the first half.
What a good effort from Brothers. They're showing that they're going to capitalise on these Wynnum Manly mistakes. We've seen Wynnum make mistakes before, but too many sides have been somewhat overawed by it all. There's the shorn haircut of Bailey, the captain of Brothers. And they are really determined today. They've started very well. You can see Bailey fidgeting there. He means business today, as does the Brothers side.
It started off like a mean machine as Lewis kicks off, taken by Smith. He'll take them on, revving up. Well tackled by Ferrugia.
Should be remembered, of course, that Wynnum Manly, this is only their second game in 4 weeks. Leading into this game, they've only played one game in 4 weeks. Very hot conditions. And if anything, they are looking a little bit lethargic.
Ferrugia slow to his feet. Now it comes out to Grogan again. Brothers move it wide with Stan Staines. Chops a little pass over the top. Ferrugia there to dive on it, but he's in a touch. Interesting to see who the feed goes to.
Yeah, Warder said that it is a touch one, not a ball gone forward from Brothers, so I think Brothers will have the loose head and feed. Bernie, things opening up a little bit for Brothers on the outside.
Yes, David, I think the pressure's really starting to tell probably to Brothers' advantage, because they're gaining confidence, as was shown just then. They're prepared to try things. The forwards coming into the line. Steve Carter's having an absolute blinder, and as we've seen, Wynnum Manly making a couple of vital handling errors.
Gill sends it out to Tapp, little dummy.
John Tapp doesn't look fit to me. He had that shoulder problem from a few weeks ago and doesn't seem to be running with the confidence.
Has dropped a couple of balls, and Moore's knocked on a dummy half.
Brothers can ill afford those sort of errors. But that's a good indication there from the young fella. A couple of the experienced players saying, just cool it down, don't worry about it. There it is. The ball had knocked his foot initially, and then once it was bouncing around, he did knock it on.
Brothers leading in the scrum 7-1. This is a Wynnum ball. Miles takes on Grogan. Miles, the heaviest player on the field, playing in the centres. Pushes away from 2. Finally takes Carter and Gary Smith, pull him down. Just outside the Brothers' 22. Dowling. Again, Carter comes in high. Smith and McElwain low. Jenner holds up a pass for Lindner. Bursts away from Tupple. Looking for his winger Lewis. Back to Colin Scott. Heading for the line. Just a metre out. Pressure now right on Brothers. Wynnum Manly hitting back. Dawes. Lewis. Long pass out for Naylor. It bounces. Naylor can't get away from Moore. Gives it to Nichols. He's dropped the ball. In comes Greg Smith. Keeps it on the toe. Gathers no. Knocks it on. Scott Lewis kicks it over the touchline, but they'll play the knock on. Well,
Brothers trying to counter-attack there, and Smithy did nearly get away with it, but Wynnum Manly finding that even though the gaps are apparently on the outside, there's some great cover defence coming across from Brothers, and they're not being able to make those gaps they normally do. That was the pass from Naylor, really a suicidal one out to Scott Nichols. Then look at this from Greg Smith, toes it, good indication there, good work from Smithy. Then he just knocks it on as he tries to pick it up on the run.
David, as you said, suicidal. Brothers, Wynnum is still trying to throw the ball wide, even when the Brothers are up quickly.
Here's a good scrum, this one. Look at the push there from both. That's a good effort from Brothers. Both hookers with the feet wrapped around the ball, and it was the Brothers scrum that won the day against the head.
Burns from dummy half. McElwain gives it to Staines. Tackled by French and Hurt on the tackle.
There's big Trevor Smith waiting his opportunity. Did play in the successful reserve grade side. Came on as a replacement in the reserve grade when they won their grand final against Valleys a little bit earlier today. And he would love the opportunity to get out there now. Brothers on top in the match so far, mainly brought about by the fact that they've shown great determination. They've run the defence very hard. Their defensive line has in general remained intact, but Wynnum Manly have brought themselves undone to a certain extent in that their poor handling has let them down, not only in attacking positions when they had a chance to possibly put a couple of points on the board, but in defensive positions as well.
Staines okay. Gary Smith. Carter takes them on. Steve Carter, rugged prop forward, was very confident during the week. Staines, long kick away from Colin Scott, kicking across to the far side of the field. Nichols coming back. Well judged and well positioned kick from Staines. Nichols has it. McElwain comes in on him with Gill.
Good chase from Brothers, good passage of play. Two big, strong forward rucks from Smith and Carter. Then the little bit of extra room for the kicker to position himself, and Dan Staines put it into space.
Dawes, Jenner. Ooh, almost loses the ball, juggled it for a moment, just held on. Dowling drops a ball. Well, Wynnum is starting to make mistakes. They're feeling the tension of the day.
Brothers' defence around the ruck that's stopping them.
Staines ducks under one. 15 metres out. Smith, Grogan accelerates back inside as McElwain in a hole. Can't get away from Scott. Still trying to bounce back to his feet. Nichols just holds on, rolls all over the top of him. Smith, Gill, Staines inside one. Right in the centre of the field, 12 metres out. Back on the blind side, Smith, the general, Grogan. Ooh, tap was through the gap, Grogan's still going. Stays on his feet, away from Smith, Bonder has it. Well, if Smith had been able to take that pass, he would have been over for sure.
The try line was wide open.
Up it goes from Bailey. Coming down in the field of play, Scott Lewis has it.
And knocked it on. Brothers applying all the pressure, and Wynnum Manly's defence is scattering to try and get back in a position. This Brothers' attack of switching the play from one side of the field to the other has certainly got Wynnum Manly in trouble.
Brothers leading the scrums 8-2. One tight head going Brothers' way so far. Vital scrum, this one for Brothers.
We saw him score a try last week from the base of the scrum.
Lead and loose head and the ball. Gill. Poor pass to Moore. Grogan has to wait for it. And Lewis up quickly on him. Pushes him back over the 22. Grogan injured in the tackle, slowly to his feet. O'Brien in from the wing.
Good work from the winger, taking the load off the forwards while they get themselves organised.
Brothers are bunched in the middle of the field at the moment. Now Staines comes wide. Carter. Oh, under a high one from Miles. Bailey has it. Carter looking towards the touch judge. No reaction there. Smith, Gill, Grogan again goes wide. Tap. Pops a beautiful pass for Moore. Moore heading to the try line. Desperate defence holds him 1 metre short. Last tackle. O'Brien at dummy half. Lewis screaming instructions. O'Brien. Oh, and a wasted opportunity there. Turnover.
Vince O'Brien had the opportunity to pass and elected to throw a little dummy. He really didn't want to, I don't think, and realised his mistake. But Brothers have that Wynnum Manly defence in plenty of trouble, and experience here from Bob Lindner. Okay, might have copped a little knock, but certainly Wynnum Manly need a spell. Who would have believed that there's 8 minutes to go in the first half, and it's Wynnum Manly have been on the rack, and they certainly need a bit of a breather. This Brothers team is playing extremely well, have made very few mistakes. Bernie, you got a closer look at that injury problem. What do you see is wrong with Bob Lindner?
Well, I think it's not Bob Lindner, David. The problem seems to be Peter Dawes, and he's gone to the touchline now, and a lot of concern. The Wynnum doctors on the touchline, and Dawes appears to be favouring his left arm. Now, he's got the right one heavily strapped. That was where he had the fracture about 5 weeks ago, but a lot of concern about Peter Dawes. He's in real trouble. Well,
there's Peter Dawes. There's the doctor saying no chance. Peter Dawes can't continue. Major blow for Wynnum Manly. But they're in enough trouble as it is.
Now Green. Ooh, some heavy defence comes in from Carter, McElwain.
Dawes endeavouring to continue, but they're chasing a replacement.
Lewis says, let's get out of here. Puts it high, but Moore well positioned. Takes it beautifully. Letting it drop in over his shoulder. Away from Farrugia, away from Naylor, clear to Moore. Miles gets him by one arm. Staines. Long pass out to Tap. Back inside for Smith. Smith in everything today for Brothers.
There's Philatel warming up on the bench. He'll replace Peter Dawes, and of course they've got the flexibility of using Scott Lewis to come into half-back.
Gary Smith.
Gene Miles being called on to do an enormous amount of work in the middle of the ruck.
Brothers set on a wide blind side here. Gill holding it up. Dummies to Staines, now gives it to him. Staines loses the ball. Lewis has it. And tries to drive past Gill.
Once again, we'll see now Wynnum try and take it up near the ruck, and bang, Brothers get in there and belt them. They've got this defensive pattern worked out extremely well. Wynnum cannot make a move next to the ruck. They're flat out making the advantage line, and this Brothers forward pack is loving it. 3-1.
French there, and before him Green taking it up hard, but the defence just too good for them at the moment. But inside the 5 this time.
That's the only way Wynnum were going to get out of their own territory, and that was to get a penalty.
May have been actually for not standing opposite the man playing the ball, directly opposite.
Wynnum have been in big trouble, and wouldn't Brothers love now to be able to hold out for this next 6.5 minutes or so. They've got a good lead, 6-4. They've scored the only try in the match. They've certainly had the better of the first half. But now Wynnum, of course, what a good side they are. They're dangerous with 6 minutes to go. Philatel on the field has replaced Peter Dawes.
Perugia from the tap into Brothers territory. Perugia's copped a couple of knocks in this half. Dowling not running with quite the same venom he started with. French, he's worked hard, tries to go up the middle. Switching it back, Scott Lewis now probably at halfback. Lewis with Dawes going off. Perugia out wide. Jenner from dummy half, working the blind. A little bit of disorganisation once again in Wynnum, but now Lewis calling the shots. Last tackle. Up it goes from Lewis. It's gone very, very high. Clinton coming in confidently, but he doesn't take the kick. Bounces away, but O'Brien has it.
Might have appeared that Vince O'Brien was having a bit of a spell at the back there, but certainly covering any options, and he happened to be right on the spot.
Quick passes. Rogan onto tap, force pace, close away from the tackle. Miles has him, passes back inside. Lindner can't handle the intercept. Lindner has it, but the knock on both ways.
Lewis also down on the ground at the moment, as are a couple of other players.
Scott Lewis injured in the back play. They need him now that he's at halfback. Lucky to have a player of his skills at halfback. Brothers ball. Well, the scrums are now 10-2 in favour of Brothers, and what a decisive factor that has to be. Burns makes the break through the forwards, struggling to get clear, but Lewis there in cover defence.
The significant part about that scrum count, Warren, is that there's only one tight head, so Brothers have been making less mistakes.
Gary Smith again holds in the Wynnum ruck. McElwain away from Jenner's tackle. Lindner there, desperate defence. Lindner and Green inside the quarter. Bailey straight up the middle, 10 metres out. Last tackle. What will Brothers do with this one? Smith, the grubber kick, but it's an easy one for Dowling. He read it well.
Bernie Pramberg down on the sideline with an update on the injury to Peter Dawes. Bernie.
Well, a dreadfully disappointed Peter Dawes. It's his left shoulder. He, of course, staged a great fight back to take the field today, and he's with the doctor, Dr. Chris May, and the trainer pulling the jersey off. But Peter Dawes, a real little Trojan. But what a disappointing way to finish the 86 season for him.
Lewis passing it wide, only 10 metres out from their line. There goes Miles, slips it past to Scott. Great burst. Back inside is Naylor. Naylor wrestled towards touch and over this line.
Good cover defence from Brothers. Wynnum stringing their passes together. Normally come right out the other side with a bit of free area to run in, but they are finding that there's plenty of cover defence from Brothers today. They're very keen, and they're going to force Wynnum to play their best football.
5 minutes till half time.
There's the scrums at the moment. 10-2 in favour of Brothers. One tight head. That's 11-2 now, the scrums to Brothers.
O'Brien. Scott Lewis onto him. Staines. Straight ahead. Gary Smith takes him on once more. Back to Carter. Carter goes himself. Good little hesitation. Just made the defence think. Bailey to McElwain. Making ground, easy ground through the forwards at the moment, Brothers. Got the Wynnum Defence rattled. Up it goes from Bailey. Pressure on Scott. Plenty coming through. Up he goes. Takes it magnificently, Scott. Shows the benefit of his experience. Attell.
Less than 5 minutes to go in the first half. They've got a new method of setting the clock. Oh, a bad mistake. Wynnum Manly.
Loose ball over the touchline. Confusion between Ferrugia and Scott Lewis.
They're stopping the clock 5 minutes from half-time and full-time today. So we've got less than 5 minutes. I'd say around about 3 minutes to go. Less than 3.
Smith coming across to feed. Smith has it, but the penalty goes to Wynnum Manly.
Only 1 minute to go, and the scrum penalty is now 2-0 in favour of Wynnum Manly.
Lewis quickly takes the kick for touch. Gains 40 metres. Wynnum would desperately love to put some points on the board just before the break. Lewis, long pass to Miles, standing still, and the defence is up on his outside. Forced back in, hands it to Scott. Scott taken in the tackle by Tapp. Lindner at dummy half. Dowling, standing still, the Wynnum attack. Ferrugia, Attell, Carter across, cover defending. The big prop forward again. He's everywhere, in close and out wide. Kicks through, should be 6 more. Long pass to Dowling. Miles throws a little dummy. Back inside, beautifully handled by Lindner. Back inside, the ball's gone loose, but it's play on. Naylor knocks on. Play on through the referee. Burns picks it up for Brothers. Burns sets south of the try line. Chased by Mel Green. Has support inside. Gets the pass. It's knocked down by Green. It's play on. Tapp dives on it. Tries to throw it back. Still picked up again by O'Brien. Over the touchline. Dramatic end to the first half. And that's the break. Brothers leading 6 points to 4. Are we on the way to an upset, David Wright?
Well, looks that way at the moment, Warren. Brothers have done all the running in the first half. Wynnum Manly have not looked the part at all. They've made far too many mistakes. Undoubtedly, this defensive pattern of Brothers has proved a feature of the match. When Wynnum Manly have been down inside their own territory, they've found it very difficult to get out. And then when Brothers, who have been in good attacking position for most of the game, they've shown that they're prepared to move the ball all around the park. They've had Wynnum Manly run off their legs at all times in the match. And really, Wynnum Manly are looking a pretty sorry lot. I think Wally Lewis will welcome this opportunity to get his players into the cool of the half-time dressing rooms and have a good long talk to them. Of course, they won't have Peter Dawes in the second half. He's been replaced by Phil Attell, and we've got Scott Lewis playing at half-back. But certainly, Lewis has got a lot of talking to do. He needs to settle his players down. Whatever tactics he has devised for this particular grand final have been rather ineffective against Brothers' well-stacked defensive pattern, and Wynnum Manly have been forced into a lot of error. They panic passed, they've tried to throw a couple of long passes purely to skirt the defensive line, but it's not that easy because the line not only condenses in, but those guys on the end of the defensive line go across onto the on the ankle. So we've seen some plenty of good play in this first half. Let's see what Wynnum Manly are still capable of in this second half. We see here right on the end of the first half, and Gene Miles makes the little break through the middle of the ruck, fires the one-hander back up inside. I think it was Bob Lindner who picks this one up off his toes. Good work from Lindner. Then Wynnum Manly had a stack of players here that they could look to back up. The ball then goes astray, and watch Brothers counter-attack very, very quickly. There's the ball going to ground as it hit Clinton Moore. Brothers picked up here was, I think, that's right, Naylor tries to pick this one up, and then it goes into the hands of Jeff Burns. Have a look at Naylor, took his eye off the ball, fumbled, fired the ball out. The ball went loose, straight through over the shoulder of Colin Scott, and then Jeff Burns. What an opportunity for Brothers here with a score 6 points to 4 right on half-time. And we had Jeff Burns make this fine break. Have a look at the cover defence from Wally Lewis. This is Mal Green, you can see in the top of the screen. As Mal Green comes scooting across, he's going to have trouble getting him. You get Wally Lewis coming into your screen in a moment. But watch Burns. Good work from Burns because he has committed both defenders. Looks back on the inside. Green pulls out just at the right time. That was good work from Green. Knocks the ball down, and then the ball's still alive. Tapp goes to pick it up. Lewis is out of play by this stage. Tapp tries to pick it up. The ball is still alive. It hasn't been knocked on by Brothers. tap, although throwing it from the ground wasn't effectively held. The ball is still play on. Vince O'Brien picks it up inches from the touchline and then tries to make a little dart down. It was only Scott Lewis on the spot at the last minute, forces Vince O'Brien into touch. What a finish to the first half, and undoubtedly we've had Brothers with the better of the first half. Bertie, quite a good effort from Brothers, and they're well on top in the first half.
They certainly are, David. I think we all agree that Brothers had to perform very well in the first 15 and 20 minutes and pressure of Wynnum. They did exactly that. We saw a flare-up in the first minute. We saw Wynnum botch a couple of opportunities, and then we saw Brothers capitalise, of course, with that try to Peter Gill in the 24th minute. But they've had certainly more scoring opportunities in the Brothers pack, playing a very committed brand of football. And with me is the only one of the Brisbane first-grade coaches who, during the week, came out and predicted that Brothers could go ahead and go on and cause probably the biggest upset for many years in a Brisbane Grand Final. Greg Oliphant. Greg, welcome, and you must be feeling quite pleased with that prediction at this stage of the game.
Yes, Bernie, but Brothers have had all the feet of the scrums, control on the ball. After their first try, they started getting a little bit fancy out on that far side. There's no signal for them to do that. All they've got to do is keep running from dummy half, and at the right times throw the ball wide. But a couple of times there early, they threw the ball wide, and they haven't got that advantage line around the forward area.
And they appear to be very adventurous, Brothers, and I know David and Warren mentioned that early in the half that they were attempting to get the ball out to Tapp and Grogan. Do you think that perhaps they're doing it a little bit too often and they've just got to stiffen themselves up a bit?
Well, they went too early. They've got to get over that. Your forwards have got to go have the opposition going backwards first before you can do anything with the ball. And I think they've learned to realise this. They've got the feel of play now, but Brothers are going to be a hard side to beat because now they've got the smell of victory. And although Wynnum are a very good side, they've got some star quality players. Now's the time for the star quality players to come to the fore. They have got to show why they're worth all this money. And, not only that, but they've got to show their true ability. This is where champions really come to the fore. And they probably can do it if they get the ball sort of Brothers got. But, if Brothers keep getting this sort of ball they got, it's going to be a hard game.
Well, certainly the crowd are loving it, Greg, and we're all set for a final, or an exciting 40 minutes of football to wind up the 86 season. Thanks to Greg Oliphant, and we'll go back to the central commentary point with David Wright and Warren Boland.
Thanks, Bernie. The Queensland Gold Star dance for it, entertaining the crowd at half-time. Let's have a look at the statistics of the match. Firstly, the scorers. In the first half, the try went to Peter Gill for Brothers. Trevor Bailey has kicked from one. Of course, the conversion attempt for Wynnum Manly. Colin Scott has kicked 2 from 2. Half-time score 6-4. The scrums and penalties. Well, the scrums we've made mention 11-2 in favour of Brothers. One tied head going their way. The penalties 6-2 in favour of Wynnum Manly. The one try from Peter Gill, we'll have a look at it in just a moment. Of course, early on in the match, the 2 penalties, quite a few penalties went Wynnum Manly's way, and they came out very determined, even though they were facing plenty of defence from Brothers, but Wynnum looked in control for the first 10 minutes, and then Brothers started to turn it around as Wynnum cracked a little.
Brothers there, hungry, very close to the try line, like this from Peter Gill, the dummy that took all the cover defence across. As soon as you got cover defenders near your line like this that Wynnum Manly had, they're in trouble already. You don't cover defend near your line, you move up. And Peter Gill spotted it. He knew the guys were coming across. There was the opportunity to straighten it up, and he did it, and did it well. Look at the angle of the body. Wally Lewis wasn't going to be able to take him out, and he plunges across for a good try from Brothers. The only try in the first half, and really when we look at it, Brothers have taken their chances. Have a look at this. Wynnum Manly cover defending on their own try line. That's a no-no. You've got to move up, and they didn't do that. Gill read it to perfection, straightened it up beautifully, and Wally Lewis also cover defending. Couldn't stop him from putting the ball down. There's the Alpha Micro computer man. He's the mascot for Brothers out here today. And whilst he'd be pretty hot in that in the suit, he'd certainly be enjoying the match thus far. Plenty of Brothers colours out here, plenty of Wynnum Manly colours as well, but I think a lot of the crowd really weren't shocked by the performance of both sides in the first half. It was almost as if they got the wrong jerseys on.
David, as I was saying, Wynnum had things in control early on. They had the benefit of the penalties and so on, but there was just that point when they suddenly started to make mistakes. The momentum that Brothers were started to gather. Brothers really started to put it right on them, and all of a sudden we saw people like Dowling making mistakes, dropping the ball, not only him, plenty of others, and then the scrums going Brothers' way as well. They didn't have the ball.
I think that's significant, Warren. That scrum count of something like 10-2 has got to be a telling feature, because we've got, of course, Wynnum Manly only having played one game in the last month leading up to this match. They've been chasing leather all day, and Brothers have been controlling it very well. On the other hand, when Wynnum Manly have been in possession, they've been trying to throw the ball in impossible positions. They've been in a bit of a problem in that they've been trapped inside their own 22-metre line, and that forces them to run the ball pretty close to the ruck. When they do run the ball that close to the ruck, of course, that defensive pattern of Brothers is in a very strong position to be able to be dominant. And that sort of dominance, we saw a tackle, I think, early in the first half. That one by Steve Carter on Greg Dowling really set the scene for some torrid forward clashes, and Dowling hasn't been as keen to take it right up the middle of the ruck.
We've got the half-time score in the preliminary final in Sydney. Canterbury 15, Balmain 4. So Canterbury turning around from last week's loss, and could this be the end of the Balmain run coming right through? But at half-time, Canterbury 15, Balmain 4. David, the match here, one thing about it, I've noticed Dan Staines' kicking, tactical kicking, has been the equal of Wally Lewis, which we didn't expect. In fact, Dan Staines' kicking the last 2 weeks has markedly improved. Well,
I think it comes about by the fact, Warren, that your forward pack have got to be going well. If the last ruck you've had before the kick has been an incisive one, that you put the defence on the back foot, then it's very easy to fire the ball back to your kicker and put it downfield without any pressure. Wynnum Manly aren't pressuring the kicker. On the other hand, Brothers are really putting it to Wynnum Manly in the defensive department. When Lewis is forced even to kick in this particular game, he's been having to kick over the top of a defender right in front of him, and of course that doesn't allow Wally Lewis to be able to position his trajectory and also exactly where he puts it on the park, and for that reason Brothers have done a good job in nullifying the effectiveness of Wally Lewis's kicking game. So I think Brothers have played it to a T. If Ross Strudwick, the coach of Brothers, had ever worked out a match plan, and obviously he's seeing it unfold in front of him, it is working to the letter. He had to start well. He had to try and bustle Wynnum Manly, as you said before. Wynnum Manly started okay, then a couple of good hits from Brothers, plenty of cover defence. Whenever Wynnum Manly thought they were in a gap, Brothers cover defence coming across very quickly, and that was a frustrating feeling for Wynnum Manly with that cover defence when they thought they were in a gap. Then they dropped a couple of balls. Well, you can't afford to drop ball like that in a match like this. You must play to your maximum ability. Wynnum Manly haven't done that yet, but certainly they haven't been allowed to play to their ability.
Wynnum Manly without Peter Dawes in the second half. They're lucky to have a player of the ability of Scott Lewis to go into halfback, even though he copped a couple of knocks.
Yes, but I still think it's going to be disruptive, Warren. Dawes was the player who does a lot of work in and around the rucks. Obviously the right arm hasn't been good, even from a couple of weeks ago when he did break it. He's been carrying the right arm, so I guess they have missed out on his blocking pattern, if you like, in the middle of the rucks.
Well, if you were Wally Lewis in that dressing room right now, what would you be saying to his side? They have the ability. They know they've got the ability, but they're not being allowed to produce it.
Control the ball, I think, Warren. I think that's the key thing. They've been too convinced that they've got to get that ball out into this apparent gap on the outside that Brothers are leaving. But as I said, just leading up to half-time, it is only an apparent gap. The last two guys on the edge of Strudwick's defensive line angle across field to try and fill that gap, and Wynnum Manly are being frustrated by it. What Wynnum Manly got to do is drop the frustration. They're only 2 points out of it after all. They've done all the defending. Wally Lewis, all he's got to say to them is, if we get 50% of the ball in this second half, we've still got the attack to win it. We don't need to panic. We've got 40 minutes to play. On the other hand, Strudwick is saying, okay, boys, you're doing a good job. No need to do anything too fancy. We've got our noses in front. We'll continue to graft away. He'll have the advantage of a little bit of a breeze in the second half, and you can see that there from the angle of the flags. Strudwick will have that behind him, or his team will, and that will give them the opportunity to gain just a little bit more territory with their kicking. They want to still play Wynnum Manly in their own territory, because Wynnum Manly cannot run their way out if they're going to run close to the ruck. If they try and run out from close to the ruck, Brothers will get in there with their 3 and 4 defenders, and they'll knock them over.
Well, I think the first 10-15 minutes of this second half is going to tell the story, because the way things are shaping, if Brothers can hold Wynnum's early spurt in the second half, I'd say Wynnum have only played one game in 4 weeks. There's pretty hot conditions out there, and Brothers aren't going to be the ones who'll falter in the dying minutes of this match.
That's right, Warren. They're a super fit team, and they're really committed to this defensive pattern. They believe in it, and they'll be pretty happy at the moment. They realise they've only done half the job. They've now got to get out there and finish off what they've done in the first half. And I think the longer the match goes without Wynnum scoring, and it must be remembered in the grand final last year, there's Wally Lewis, very sullen looking, coming out onto the paddock. All of them, I think, in a state of shock. Shock looks on the faces of Wynnum. They really wonder what they've got to do. They've taken all before them this season, and here we have Brothers now in front in the second half. Or I should say at half time. I think Lewis will have tried to emphasise, let's not panic. We've got 40 minutes of football. We don't have to score it in the first 5 minutes. We want to control the ball for 6 tackles. He's still having a little bit to say, Lewis, but I think he's done a bit of head scratching in the meantime. It hasn't been an easy run for Wynnum, not as easy as what they would have thought, and they do really need to control the football. He said it during the season, or during this week leading up to the match, that they had to control the ball. They haven't done that in the first half, and really they're going to have to do it. They're going to have to look after the ball for 6 tackles.
Craig Ferrugia is off for Wynnum, just trying to pick up the replacement, and there's the kick-off for the second half down to Colin Scott. And met by Staines and Gill. Green runs it up, bounces away from the tackle. That's the sort of stuff that Wynnum need to turn this Brothers defence around and get their combination moving. Dowling, good little bit of play back to the replacement. We're still trying to work out who it is. Gene Miles, he's not named the replacement in the lineup.
And what a blow it is for Wynnum. They've lost their hooker and their halfback.
Dowling, good pass back inside. Lost ball on the ground. Brothers dive in on it.
Wynnum couldn't hold it for 6 tackles. Let's have a look at this in the first half. Wynnum called on to make 20 more tackles than Brothers. There's a fair indication, and they've also missed 12. They've been racing all over the park to try and make tackles. Have a look at that. Steve Carter, what a game he's had. He's topped the defensive tackle count. We've got an injured player. Let's have a little bit more of a look at this tackle count. Steve Carter's put in 17. He's also run the ball very strongly. What a good effort it's been. Bomber, the other front rower. There's the forward pack. They've made all the tackles. Ferrugia, they'll miss him. And certainly in the first half, Brothers have had all the running. Those statistics show it. Dan Staines having to put his boot back on. He's going off the field to do it. Bernie, have you got any report from the dressing rooms at half-time?
Well, David, the reason Craig Ferrugia hasn't taken the field after the break is because he was suffering double vision for the last 10 or 15 minutes of that first half, and Lewis elected to replace him with Rob Ratteri. Lewis told his side that they had to concentrate on ball control, something that's concerned him over the past couple of weeks, and also had to work harder at their recovery rate. Ross Strudwick was delighted, of course, but he insisted that the players retain the pressure, no missed tackles, and to grab every attacking opportunity that came their way.
Carter in possession. Gill okay after that break in play. Staines. So Rob Ratteri, the replacement for Craig Ferrugia. Gill gets the kick in behind the defence. Back there, good work from Nichols, takes it on the toe and blocks it as Burns comes towards him. If Craig Ferrugia was suffering double vision, that could help explain the problem in the scrums, even though, as I said, David, earlier, only one tight head.
Yeah, well, he might have been seeing 2 balls, Warren, but he couldn't even get one out the back of the scrum. And Wynnum, of course, will be in desperate trouble. To lose a hooker and a halfback, all the organisation around the rucks is gone, and the emphasis must come right back now on the shoulders of Wally Lewis, which it has been all along, of course. Lewis has to really take this game by the scruff of the neck.
Ratteri gets it onto French. Of course, it doesn't help much having a dummy half.
Ian French looks very awkward and in a great deal of pain. He went down very awkwardly then, grimacing in pain. Might have just been a bit of a nerve pinch, because he does seem to have recovered somewhat, but this is typical of the Brothers' defence. French cutting back on the inside, and that means trouble, because you run into trouble with this Brothers' defence. Who should it be? Steve Carter. He's been a terrier today, and he's helped out then by a couple of other Brothers players. Bomber, have a look at this as he awkwardly, there's Carter slipping in underneath him, and awkwardly French taken backwards. He grimaces in pain, but it may have just been a little bit of a pinch there that he felt, because he is now to his feet, and looks like he'll be okay to play the ball.
Jenner on the blind side. The defence piles in on top. Last tackle on the halfway. Lewis gets the kick away quickly, looking for touch in behind Burns, and a good kick, and Lewis was knocked over after getting that kick away, and the penalty goes to Wynnum.
And Lewis feeling around the face there, and Lewis getting the kick away in the front line. Always a dangerous practice. Brothers have moved up quickly on him all day, as we said at half time. Let's have a look at it on on the replay. We only just get it in the corner of the screen. There's Lewis, fires it along, and who should it be? Steve Carter. He's been every way today. He's been a real thorn in the side of Wynnum Manly, but now one of the few opportunities they've had inside Brothers quarterway.
The referee didn't miss Steve Carter. He gave him his third caution of the match. Green. Bomber hits him first. Then there's Smith and Staines. Jenner has the ball jolted from his arms by McElwain. Brothers in possession. That was only the second tackle. Smith. Dowling talking to Green. Second marker. Bomber. Bailey. Staines, Gill, Tap. Tap pushes away from Linder. No, he hangs on the quarter line.
Johnny
Last
Tap.
tackle. Tap is hurt.
Well. Looks like he's hurt his shoulder again.
Well, this could be bad news for Brothers. Tap's certainly in some pain.
There must be plenty of action going on over on the bench there with the injuries. Is Ross Strudwick anywhere to be seen? We've got Wally Lewis there trying to help Johnny Tap, but has Strudwick made any attempt to come down onto the bench as yet?
The trainer calling for attention. Out comes the Brothers. Doctor.
Bernie just once again having a bit of a line problem then. Has Strudwick made any effort to come down near the action as yet?
We haven't sighted him down here, David, but certainly it looks bad for Johnny Tap. As you said, a lot of concern being shown for him. The trainer, Bob Moore, is down on the bench now, and so is the rubber, but we haven't seen Strudwick appear as yet, and there's not a Brothers player actually come off the bench to warm up.
And the obvious one, of course, would be Joe Kilroy, if he is fit enough to take his place on the field. Kilroy originally selected in the side and Tap was in the reserves. Kilroy had a back problem. Johnny Tap had been under an injury cloud. There's that left shoulder again. He popped it in the knockout semi-final a few weeks ago against Valleys. He did come on and score a late try against Redcliffe last week, and I think he has been favouring that shoulder for most of this particular game. Let's have a look at this. Brothers running the ball inside their own territory, and it looked like Tap was going to get away from Bob Linder. Put the hand out. There's the left shoulder. All the load on the shoulder, and then Linder grabs the shoulder, drags him to ground. Oh, the arm goes out. That really would have popped the AC joint, and Johnny Tap now just getting to his feet. He's going to make every endeavour to be able to play the ball, and he's going to try and continue, but certainly in a lot of pain.
Tap plays the ball, but he's carrying that arm. Looks fairly useless. Smith kicks it downfield. Scott coming across, takes it on the full. Into Bomber and Gill, right on the halfway line.
Once again, we see Wynnum Manly. It's not good enough for them to beat one tackler. They've got to beat two because Brothers are hunting in a pack.
Miles to his feet. Linder spins around. Tap leaving the field. Lewis, Jenner, skirting wide. Adratiri backing up inside him, plays it forward. Dowling, Jenner, and on to Lewis. Crowd roars for a forward pass. Ball comes out the back. Lewis slammed to ground by Carter.
Carter swung one at him too, and Dowling came in to push Carter away.
Last tackle.
There's Joe Kilroy wearing number 9 coming out now on the touchline, just about to take the field. Long pass from Lewis.
Scott Lewis has it, steps back inside Gill, accelerates, gets it to Dowling, but Dowling has knocked it on. Again, confusion. We've seen it a number of times when a Manly making breaks, but confusion as to who the pass is going to.
Johnny Tap leaving the field. There he is. Bad luck for Johnny Tap. Second time in 3 weeks we've seen him injure that shoulder. Courageous effort for him to play in this particular game. He has played his part though, and now Joe Kilroy gets his opportunity. He's out on the wing.
Brothers ball. Smith dives on it. Of course, Kilroy, the only member of the Brothers squad who has played in a grand final before. So they're not losing out on the score of experience. McElwain.
There's Kilroy out on the wing. He'll love an opportunity to run that football.
Gary Smith doesn't give it to Staines, takes the tackle. Again working the blind with Bomber. Brothers leading Wynnum 6 points to 4. 6 minutes into the second half. Grogan, Burns. Good tackle from Miles. And he's lost the ball. Linda picks it up. Linda racing for the try line. Linda's over, but he's called it back. Lewis clasped his hands around his head.
Well, that was right in front of Bernie Pramberg. Bernie, what'd you see that one?
Well, I just don't know what the decision is at all. It certainly appeared as if the ball was jolted out of the arms of Jeff Burns. As you say, the combined tackle of Gene Miles and Bob Lindner. The ball, well, he may have ruled that it went off a Wynnum Manly player's hand, but unfortunately, David, I haven't got the luxury of a monitor, but let's have a look at the replay.
There it is. There's Burns going into the tackle. Well, look at Linda come over the top. Good cover defence from Linda. He has tackled well out wide, and they thump him into the ground. To all intents and purposes, the ball went free, I would think. Let's have a look at it. Burns is hurt in that tackle. The ball comes out the back, and Bob Lindner goes to pick it up. Eddie Ward is not in a position really to see exactly what happened in that tackle. Certainly Linda didn't steal the ball. It was there lying on the ground. Should have been a fair try. Controversial one.
Brothers scrum win. Burns received attention. Kilroy. It'll be interesting to see how mobile he is. If he's got a crook back, that'll certainly work it out. Smith. Smith has been tireless in the forwards for Brothers. McElwain. Staines puts it over the top of Colin Scott, bouncing over the dead ball line on the full. Well, Staines probably surprised himself with that kick. Has a little breeze behind him, but he certainly got onto that one. Too deep, in fact.
Still puts Wynnum Manly deep inside their own territory. There's Matt Lansky, played in the Colt side today, will come on and replace Jeff Burns. A couple of injuries there for Brothers, and it shows you just the pace this game and the toughness that it's been played at. Now both sides having been required to make 2 replacements.
Jenner takes them on. Lewis to Lewis, long pass out to French. Colin Scott bursting down out wide, crossing cover defence. Beautiful tackle from Greg Smith. Clinton Moore there as well. Fights to his feet. Miles, Lewis has a run himself. Looking for support, wrestled to ground by Grogan.
There's Jeff Burns really suffering there. What a tackle it was on him.
Jenner out to French. Colin Scott. Wynnum starting to throw the ball around. Last tackle just outside the quarter line. Scott Lewis to Wally Lewis. Up it goes. Lewis coming through quickly on Moore. Moore takes it well. Moore managing to hold out despite the pressure. Kilroy. Kilroy smoking Joe. Great run. 15 metres upfield.
Got away from Wally Lewis.
O'Brien. Miles from marker. Staines almost dropped it.
Oh.
Lindner, ball and all, throws him to ground.
Bob Lindner's having a big second half.
Carter can't break the tackle of Green. 30 metres out. Staines. Another long kick over the top of Scott. This one won't roll dead in goal, or will it? Yes, it does. Just. So it'll be another tap at the 22-metre line.
And only just. Scotty would have breathed a sigh of relief there. He wouldn't have wanted to run that one out from deep inside his own in-goal area. But Wynnum Manly being turned around again. Very slow to get back in a position, and they are down by 2 points at the moment. There's Wynnum Manly trudging back into position. They've been turned around, and even this tactic of putting that ball back down into Brothers' territory, even over the dead ball line, is still allowing Brothers to be able to move up and knock them around the middle of the ruck. And that's what they've done all day. Two tacklers on one, if not 3.
Terry to Jenner. Quickly up on him with Staines. Terry to Lewis. Miles, plenty of support there, but he goes himself. Who wraps him up? Steve Carter. And Carter screaming to the referee. Scott takes the tackle. Last tackle it is. Lewis on the blind. Gets the kick away. In the field of play, going back for Moore. Moore in a bit of trouble. It bounces high. Took it on the body. Comes upfield, taken by Lindner chasing him. Smith a dummy half. Staines out through Lansky to Kilroy. Kilroy tries to get away from French and Attell. Fights to his feet. O'Brien, blood streaming from the head. Attell quickly onto him. Carter pops it for McElwain, away from Lindner. Tries to get outside French, knocked down by Naylor and taken by Gill, but the knock on.
Well, it just shows you the desperation of Wynnum Manly. They're just knocking down those passes. Brothers had created something there. Good little crossfield run from McElwain, and it was only just that little touch there by Naylor that saved the day. Brothers had created a good overlap. There's the scrums. 13-2 in favour of the Brethren. Two tight heads to Bailey. Of course, Rob Rattiri is now hooking for Wynnum Manly in the second half.
A penalty to Wynnum. Scrum collapses. Second row feed. It was against Greg Smith, the penalty.
The scrums might be favouring Brothers 13-2, but the penalties are 8-2 in favour of Wynnum Manly, and they've got all three scrum penalties.
Well, David, I think this is the stage of the game where this one could be won and lost, because at the moment Wynnum are fighting back into this match. It's about 50-50 at the moment, the way the game's going. Only 2 points in it. Wynnum with a penalty inside the quarter.
Vital time in the match, undoubtedly.
Now Nichols has it. 10 metres out. Kateria dummy half. Spins around, goes himself on the blind side.
Brothers
and has lost the ball. Well, what a let off for Brothers. The Brothers' defence was stacked in close. It didn't come further than the goalposts.
There's a Wynnum Manly defence, and they're looking worried, and I think there's 13 players out there that are worried as well.
Lettieri, I think, was banking on them all going to the open side. He spun around, went himself, but lost that ball.
And it's a strong run from McElwain too. Stole 10 metres.
Moore.
And Brothers have played it pretty well in the second half. Once again, they're eating up time. 13 minutes. They're not doing anything fancy. They've got this lead. And there's another injury. That's Ian French has been bumped on that occasion. Bernie, Brothers playing it pretty well. This is their kicking game. They've used it well.
Back down the throat. Now Attell. Good little run. Play swinging from one end of the field to the other in this second half. Lewis out to Miles. Miles on the rampage. It's Carter again. Well, if Ross Strudwick has made a decision to mark anyone before the game, he put Carter on Miles because he's been around him all day long like a dog on a farm.
Once again, Wynnum Manly making a mistake. Brothers sacrificing themselves to come in and pick it up, and that's exactly what the winger did on that side. And once again, calling for assistance. There's Gene Miles, frustrated after he played the ball forward, going in low on Miles, looking to offload it. The one-handed, not a particularly good one. Lindner just gets hold and then gets jolted. Look at this. Boomba knocks it clear. The ball goes clear, and Brothers quickly onto the ball, and they will sacrifice themselves. I think it was Matt Lansky, the young fellow, and the kick there from Scott Nichols going at the ball. From behind, we'll have a look at it. This is the initially then the first run from Miles. Have a look at this. Watch Carter come across in cover defence. Copybook stuff in underneath the palm. Miles look back on the inside. No one there to support him whatsoever. He gets up quickly to play the ball and plays it forward. Carter left on the ground. As he tries to get away from there, he's once again stopped in his tracks. Lindner can't hold it. Bomber comes in. The ball not clear. And Brothers in quickly. Matt Lansky, the young fellow, showing no concern whatsoever for his own safety. And he picks up the ball. He is injured. He's still getting treatment. Bernie right in front of you. How'd you see it?
Well, certainly Nichols was called out and given a caution by referee Eddie Ward, but no penalty going towards two Brothers, and so it'll be Lansky who's regained his feet after, I really think, just having the wind knocked out of him in a pretty vigorous tackle, and Brothers still in possession just outside their own quarter.
Bomber running it up. Bailey has a go from dummy half. Ward telling the Wynnum backs to get back their 5 metres. Gary Smith. McElwain over halfway. Staines. Again, the driving kick in behind Attell. Rolling back towards the corner post. Attell gathers. Defence down there. And the chaser, Vince O'Brien, makes the tackle. Scott, O'Brien, onto him.
Brothers are hungry, and Wynnum Manly are very, very tired.
Lewis trying to turn it around. Away from one, back inside to French. French looks inside, but there was no one there except Trevor Bailey. Scott Lewis arrived too late.
Great cover defence, Greg Smith. He's done it a couple of times today.
Now out to Dowling. Dowling sees a little gap on the edge of the ruck. Back inside for Green, knocked down by Bailey. Yes, 6 more tackles for Wynnum Manly.
Once again, though, Wynnum Manly chancing the ones. Been somewhat fortunate.
Lindner. The Wynnum back line well spread. Jenner to Lewis. Long pass past French. Scott Lewis behind him. Back inside for Attell. Attell skips away. Also away from Gill. But O'Brien makes the tackle. Lewis. Another long one out to Miles. Has to wait for it. McElwain there. Sends Miles back inside over Ratiri's shoulder. Jenner gathers, but the knock on.
The one-handers from Miles aren't coming off. He's looking back on the inside as they almost let Miles go wide. And then they're coming across to cover defend tackle on him rather than to try and take him front on. And the pass back on the inside not going to hand. We've seen it a number of times today. There's the scrums, 13-2 in favour of Brothers. What a mammoth advantage, and they've controlled the ball well.
The Wynnum attack is starting to open up, but they can't quite finish things off at the moment. Brothers ball with Smith. McElwain. Gary Smith. Greg Smith. Gill. Grogan. The pass knocked down by Scott Lewis. Off he goes towards the goalpost, but the knock on, of course.
Once again, though, the desperation of Wynnum, because Brothers had created something here. Grogan cuts across field a little bit, tries to pop the ball up to Joe Kilroy. There was another couple of players outside. The pass was knocked down, but Wynnum Manly only in a position to knock down passes. They're not in a position to intercept, and they're not in real good position to tackle. There's a strange hush over the crowd, a hush of expectation with only 23 minutes to go in the match.
Okay, working the blind side. Gill out to O'Brien.
Oh, forward
pass.
What a bad mistake that one is. Gill putting his hand on the head. Can't realise it looked like a second last minute thought to do that, and they're the ones that normally come unstuck.
While Wynnum Manly are just knocking down the pass in defence and cutting off the Brothers' movements. Brothers are taking half a chance with those passes out wide. I'd hate to see one of them go into the hands of an intercept. We've seen nearly 3 intercepts already. Scott. Taken by Kilroy.
Lewis has got to do more running. He's just standing and passing, and they're just leaving him alone.
Naylor tackled. Lewis has a run through the middle. Gets the pass to Miles. Miles comes back in. And the forwards swarm in over him. 4 Brothers forwards there in all. Finally, it's Gary Smith. Decks him. Dowling, little dummy, and then up the middle. Can't handle the pass.
Yes, he was held back. In support, here's an opportunity now for Wynnum Manly to even this one up. Right in front. Strudwick's come down onto the bench. He's obviously showing a great deal of interest now. He realises that it's going to be split-second timing from the coach now that could decide this match. He needs to be right at the heart of the action. He would have been up in the stand getting an overall look at the game, but he realises now the decisions he will make on the sideline could well decide whether or not he can Brothers can win this particular game. It could be a change at the right moment. It could be just enough to give Brothers or maintain that impetus. Let's have a look at it again. Dowling went up the middle of the ruck. One of the few times there's been a gap in the middle of the Brothers' ruck. Have a look at this. Good support play here from Wynnum Manly, but they were held back. There it is, Ratiri, and Joe Kilroy just held him just prior to taking the ball. The ball went loose. Eddie Ward right on the spot, and Colin Scott has an opportunity to kick for goal. Whilst he has kicked 2 out of 2 in this match, there's the ball going loose. Wynnum Manly did retrieve, but the penalty went to Wynnum Manly. Scott has kicked 2 out of 2. This one's right in front. He should be able to knock this one over, but he has not kicked well. The first kick in particular was a wobbly old kick from Scotty, and there's the distance. He's around about 30 metres out.
Only a slight breeze, just blowing slightly straight into his face, so it shouldn't deviate the direction of this one. Pressure kick for Colin Scott.
There's the Wynnum
2
supporters.
points down. Steadies. Hits it. And it's straight between the posts. The flags are up. The score 6-all. Midway through the second half. 20 minutes to go.
Well, Brothers, they weren't in front for the whole match. They came from behind to lead 6 points to 4 after Wynnum Manly led 4-0. So it shouldn't be a shock at all. They're still well within this match. It's only one scoring opportunity that now will put them back in front. They get the opportunity to kick off and endeavour to hold Wynnum Manly inside their own territory. I've got no doubt Lewis will have it very safe and he'll put it back downfield pretty smartly.
Bailey drives it deep. Scott on the full. Running play back up towards Kilroy and Staines. Well, this is where Brothers need to pin Wynnum. Rattiri.
Oh, Wynnum Manly disorganised. No one wanted it.
They do have the backs well spread in their own quarter. Out it goes to Lewis. Little step inside. Pushes away from one, but good tackle from Bailey. Plays it back. Scott Lewis a dummy half to Dowling. Wynnum working it upfield midway between the quarter and halfway. Miles on the burst. Only a few metres short of halfway. Last tackle. Jenner to Lewis. Gets the kick away. Moore coming across. Can he cut it off? No, he can't. It's over the touchline. Magnificent kick from Lewis. Drives Brothers back onto the defensive.
Well, that's the class of Lewis. Wynnum Manly did take those 5 tackles, controlled it probably one of the few times in the game that they've held the ball for 6 tackles. Went to Lewis through Jenner, and then Lewis, with players coming up quickly on him, just juggled for a moment and then put it 1 metre from the touchline. Carter again coming in to harass him. Was a fair attempt to knock him off balance, and Brothers have won the scrum.
Brothers ball. Staines. Dowling, good tackle, pushes him backwards. Only 5 metres out. And Staines is down injured. The right arm.
Well, Bernie, there must be plenty of action happening over there on the bench at the moment. Strudwick obviously would be keeping a very close eye on things. Dan Staines down injured at the moment.
Yes, we couldn't find Ross for the majority of the first half, but as you mentioned about 5 minutes ago, he emerged from his seat in the grandstand, and there he is, Ross Strudwick, understandably looking quite concerned. He was justifiably pleased with the first half effort when Brothers went to the break leading by 6-4, but only one point scoring opportunity in this second half, or one successful point scoring opportunity, and of course that was that penalty to Colin Scott in the 59th minute. So the ball game tied up 6-all. I don't think we haven't had extra time in a grand final since 1970, I think, when Norths and Valleys played here, and Norths winning the game in extra time. So it's been a long time, but certainly this game is so tight it could well be go into the extra 20 minutes.
Now it's O'Brien from dummy half. Well, the Wynnum defence is starting to come on strong as this game reaches the climax point. Moore.
There is 20 minutes to go in the match, or just under 19 actually, and I'm sure Wynnum Manly would be the last team that would want to see this match go into extra time. They only played one in the 4 weeks, as I've said before, and they're going to do it pretty tough.
Lewis leading by example there with the defence. Look, he's after Staines. Back to Scott on the full. Kicks going straight to the fullback this half. Gary Smith there to make the tackle with Baumba. Attell. Smith with Baumba makes the tackle. Miles hunting in around the forwards now. Rattiri. Bailey. That's 4 tackles. They've only made about 10 metres. Dowling straight and hard up the middle. Bailey rides him into ground.
Yeah, Dowling's starting to make some ground too.
Last tackle. Lewis with a field goal shot from 30 metres out. It's drifting wide to the right hand side. Bounces over the dead ball line. Good thinking from Lewis, but the kick just off target.
Let's have a look at it. Lewis thinking all the time. There's still 17 odd minutes to go in the match with the scores locked at 6 points to all. Lewis wanted to get his nose in front. The kick, not a good one, just off to the side of the post. But there's an indication of the desperation in this match already.
Bailey
there it is from the head on. We'll see just how much he just slips off the side of his boot here. Misses the post by quite some distance.
Gary Smith, in fact, throughout the Winfield Cup, Wynnum Manly have kicked one field goal, and Brothers have not kicked a single field goal in the whole competition.
Could well change in today's game.
Baumba. Gill, Grogan, Kilroy. Lindner makes the tackle. Moore to Staines. Long kick heading towards the corner post and out on the full.
There's Strudwick, he's yelling instructions. They want to keep it downfield, straight down the middle of the field. He doesn't want to see him go out in the full. He wants to play the game down inside Wynnum Manly's territory.
Well, the kicking game was spot on from Staines in the first half, but this half he's put 2 over the dead ball line, giving Wynnum 22-metre taps, and that one out on the full. Wynnum ball from the scrum. Lindner bursts away from the tackle. Scott. Gary Smith takes him in a great tackle right around the ankles. Smith getting out of that scrum quickly. Scott Lewis, Wally Lewis accelerates through Miles. Naylor gathers it in but then loses it. Well, Naylor did everything right at first.
He knocked it on all right. The crowd not agreeing, at least the Wynnum Manly supporters not agreeing. Have a look at Lewis. Gets through in behind the defence. Grogan it was who took out Miles, and then Naylor just got a hold of it and then put it on the deck. Propelled it toward his own or to his opponent's try line. Knock on.
And yet another Brothers scrum win. That takes the scrum 17-4 in favour of the Brothers side. O'Brien towards centre field.
What a terrific effort it's been by the Brothers captain, Trevor Bailey, the hooker.
McElwain trying to burrow through the forwards. Staines. Just ankle tap by Jenner. Bailey sets sail from dummy half, weaving his way through the middle. Desperate tackle from Dowling and Miles. Last tackle, 40 metres out. Grogan pops it for Moore. Tries to get away from Scott Lewis, throws it back. Gill kicks it back towards his own side to try and regather the possession. Attell has it, Grogan's offside. McElwain picks it up. Grogan drops the ball behind him and the knock-on to be played.
Yes, Grogan was in an offside position there. He did well to read the play. He knew no one from Wynnum Manly was around. They had time to allow McElwain to pick it up. Have a look at this. The knock-on. There's Gill losing it. Therefore, Grogan offside, and he's aware of the position. Wynnum Manly not in any danger in the immediate area, and he allows McElwain to come from an onside position. Only the knock-on. Wynnum Manly loose head and feed.
2 tight heads have gone against Wynnum. Well, there's a lovely feed from Scott Lewis. Make sure they win that one. Attell has it. Miles drags it in one-armed. Inside 2. Swings a pass back inside, but Gene Miles did not look. Took a chance. Well, they've got away with it. 6 more tackles. Wally Lewis sets sail. Long pass to Scott Lewis. Back to Lewis with magic hands. Green spins it out to Scott. Scott taken on by Grogan.
Good defence from Brothers. One side of the field, the other. Wynnum Manly and Brothers had the numbers.
Green coming around Dowling. Straightens up. Good pass back to Rattiri.
He's played well since he's come on. Rattiri's been in good backup position. There's Strudwick on the bench looking concerned. He knows Wynnum Manly are in that try-scoring position.
Lewis to French. French away from the tackle of Baumba. French for the line, slips it back inside. Lewis onto it. Play on. Lewis for the line. Lewis stretches out. It's a try. It's a try to Wynnum Manly. Wally Lewis reaching out over the line. It takes them to the lead, 10 points to 6.
Well, the Emperor's done it. I don't know how he did it. We'll have to see it on replay to see how he got that ball down. What a magnificent effort from Wally Lewis. A solo. He's been knocked down by one of his own players there as they come in to congratulate him. Took one right on the nose, but I don't think he's hurting too much at the moment because he just put his team in front. And it took some pretty concerted attack there from Wynnum Manly. Let's have a look at this one. This is great, this stuff from Wynnum Manly. They haven't won it yet, though. There's 12.5 minutes to go in the match yet. They can ill afford to think they've got it won. He gives Ian French a good pat on the back. Let's have a look at the two of them work in tandem here. Wally Lewis, Ian French. Look at this fella run the football. Brushes out of one. Looked like he'd go all the way. Then a desperation pass in behind him. Lewis still in backup position. Looked for support. Said, no, I've got to do it myself. Stretches out through one. Reaches out right on the try line. Got it down. Yes, what a super effort from Wally Lewis to get that one down. Not many players in Australia, if any, could have scored that one, and Wally Lewis certainly got it right onto the on the try line. Let's have a look at this one. Wynnum Manly in this try scoring position. Lewis sets up Ian French. They've been searching for this one all day, and they found it very hard to breach the defence. There it is, brushes out of Ray Bomber's tackle. He really can't be blamed. He's tackled everything that moves today. And French looked like he'd go all the way. Once again, Greg Smith, the grass cutter, cuts him down. Moore's knocked the ball back. Lewis in backup position. Nearly stumbles over, but wouldn't let himself go down. Picks it up, still about 8 metres out. The little dummy, Moore to his credit, had got back to his feet to try and make the tackle. And Lewis, the strength of the guy, rushes away. The leg still driving. Looked like he was short from that angle, but we saw from the head on, the ball was in the right hand, and he certainly got it down. There it is, in the left arm actually, and Wally Lewis scores a try to put Wynnum Manly in front. Colin Scott trying to convert.
The most difficult of the lot, and he's pushed it away to the right. So the score remains Wynnum Manly 10, Brothers 6, 11 minutes remaining in the match. It took Wynnum Manly 67 minutes to post the first try for them. First try for Brothers came in the 23rd minute to Peter Gill, and it was all kicks from there till this try by Lewis.
Well, Brothers aren't out of this yet. They've still within a converted try. 10 points to 6 with 11 minutes to go in the match. Brothers are the fittest side, and Wynnum Manly has still got a lot of football to play in this last 11 minutes.
The Brothers must pin Wynnum Manly down their end of the field and get back into this match now. Miles winds up, takes play to the 22. Good tackle from Grogan. Lewis covering the ball up very tightly. Wynnum do have the experience to win a game from this point now that they're in front. Dowling, crunch tackle, came in. He held onto that ball dearly.
There's Wynnum's three most experienced players. Miles, Lewis and Dowling took over the reins.
And here goes Lewis again. Head down, arms wrapped around the ball. Just driving forward, one pass at a time. And Dowling again. Slips a pass to Green. Long pass, no pass goes on to French, but he's knocked it on, scrambling after it. And Kilroy knocks it back. Could be play on, O'Brien has it.
Brothers knocked that one on. Eddie Ward a little bit away from the action.
I don't agree, David. I think it came off O'Brien's ankles. Had the glasses on it in close. Moore. Gary Smith.
Well, let's see if Wynnum Manly have got any gas left in the tank to keep defending, because Brothers have run them all over the park.
Out it goes to Grogan. Long pass over the top of Kilroy to O'Brien. He straightens up. Jenner and Naylor hold him.
9.5 minutes to go.
Staines kicks away from Scott this time, but it turns around on itself. Fullback going back to gather. Grogan down there. Chases Scott. Scott too fast, but McElwain knocks his legs out from under him. 20 metres out from the Wynnum line. Scott decides to take a rest, either injured or waiting for the defence to get back on side.
Well, certainly Wynnum Manly could do with the breathe. That'll be interesting to see whether Scotty gaining a little bit of attention there. Struddy having still plenty to say to his trainer, trying to get instructions out. He's also got one of his players, Greg Smith. Yeah, we heard there, let Danny come into the line. It looks like he wants an extra man to come into that attacking line. Here's the instructions going back now to Greg Smith through Clinton Moore. He looks like he wants Clinton Moore to come into that line as the extra man. Moore with plenty of pace. There's looks like Tim Dwyer, the ex-Brothers centre, now down with Manly Warringah, having a bit of a talk to Struddy. The chant going up, Wynnum, Wynnum. And Bernie, plenty of action happening down there on the sideline.
Yes, still Ross Strudwick reasonably calm outwardly, but I'm sure he realises that time is ticking away. Only 9 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in the game, and the crowd are getting a little bit impatient now. They feel that Wynnum might be stalling, and as you say, David, perhaps they're the ones who are doing it a bit tough physically with only the second game in 1 month.
There's Brett McCarthy, the young 5'8" in the Colts game today. Good player, McCarthy. Just the sort of player that is a match winner type. Very talented player, and could be a good move from Strudwick to bring on a player capable of anything.
Down tackle, and here comes Lewis again, playing the role of a forward. Wraps that ball up, takes the tackle with the shoulder. In comes the defence, but they won't rip the ball away from Lewis.
Manly are starting to pack up the game, but it's a little bit too early to do that. Still 8.5 minutes. There's the score, 10-6 in favour of Wynnum.
Jenner inside, one tackle, throws a loose pass out for McElwain.
To Wynnum Manly, yes, held back. Jenner looked for the support player. He was there in 1 second and then gone in the next. And Eddie Ward correct, not getting too much of a support from the brothers Barrackers here today. And there's Bailey.
Bailey being called back by Ward.
Wally Lewis now having plenty to say, saying let's settle it down. He said, is this the spot, Ed? Once again, Lewis now eating up the time as brothers did in the first half. Not going for too much territory, making sure of it.
Brothers have spent very little time in the Wynnum quarter in this second half. Nichols. Dowling. 7.5 minutes to go on the match.
There's Brett McCarthy, number 19, on the sideline. It'll be interesting to see who he replaces.
French bursts onto a Miles pass away from the tackle. Sets sail for the line. Moore comes across, can't hang on to him. Floats a pass out to Lindner. Lindner for the corner. And knocked over. Desperate defence.
He's lost it. Brothers are in possession. Great cover defence from Brothers. And there's another injury. 7 minutes and 12 seconds to go. Now he's up to his feet.
Gary Smith it was coming up with that ball. Had the wind knocked out of him. Greg Smith on the blind.
Another replacement.
Greg Smith has a cramp. Down injured.
Brett Williams it is coming out for Brothers. Strudwick has replaced the 5'8". Pettigill's left the field and Brett McCarthy's coming to 5'8". Strudwick looking for a bit of extra attack.
So Smith back to his feet again as Peter Gill leaves the field.
There's Peter Gill. Done his job today.
Carter.
Try for Brothers. The only try that Brothers have scored. Bombers left the field and young Brett Williams has taken the field.
Timeout as Carter's down injured now.
6 minutes 45 seconds on the clock, and Bernie Strudwick obviously looking. I see him over there now shaking the hand of Ray Bomber, satisfied he's done his job, and he's looking for a couple of fresher players. Bernie.
Yes, he certainly is, David, and I guess it's that state of the game where he's got to try for something a little bit adventurous. And Brett Williams, of course, played in their Premiership third grade side, and as you've already mentioned, Brett McCarthy, the 5'8", was the skipper of the Colts side, which lost today's grand final to West. So a couple of youngsters have their chance to earn instant recognition if they can pull the game out of the fire or assist in pulling the game out of the fire for Brothers.
Carter back to his feet, out it goes to Kilroy. Carter is hobbling badly on that right ankle. I don't think we'll see too much of Steve Carter. Staines has his kick, rebounds, up it goes, Lewis takes it. Well, Brothers can't get out of their own territory at the moment, and Wynnum is starting to wrap this game up methodically. Ratteri. Williams in there to make the tackle with Smith. Naylor. Lindner spins around. Drives up the middle.
6 minutes to go in the match.
Could see another field goal attempt from Lewis. Dowling straight up the centre.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be game, Warren. They've got a 4-point advantage at the moment. I think he wants to play it down this end of the park.
Switches it across to Jenner. Jenner in the gap. Back inside for Scott Lewis. Leaves it behind. On it goes to Mal Green. Slips it to Attell. Attell for the try line in the corner. And it's a try. Well, it must be the winning of the grand final with only 5.5 minutes to go. Wynnum Manly leading by 14 points to 6.
It was in the last closing minutes of the match that Wynnum Manly have finally hung on to the ball. They've strung some passes together. It looks like they've won this match now. 14 points to 6 is their lead. Very difficult for Brothers with only about 5.5 minutes to go. And Wynnum Manly congratulating themselves. Little Philatel on the wing was in a position to back up. But it was Wynnum Manly making sure that they fired the ball back on the line side. Once again, Wally Lewis controlling play. Hit Daryl Jenner. Look to me, he should have passed on the outside here. He had created the opportunity. Scott Lewis in good support, but he went a pace too far. He forced Scott Lewis to come back on the inside. Then the ball went onto the ground, but they were still fortunate enough to get it back. Have a look at the alertness here of Scott Lewis. He's on the ground. Look at this pass up here. Oh, a little flick of the foot up to Mal Green. And Mal Green then putting a little bit of a bust in the Brothers' defence. Vince O'Brien couldn't get him, and Philatel across in the corner. Let's have a look at it from behind as Wynnum Manly change the point of attack. Brothers defence going one way. Lewis says, hang on, we're going back the other way, fellas. Fires the ball back on the outside. Jenner had been put into a bit of a hole here as Brothers started to lose their straight line of defence as Scott Lewis came back on the inside. The ball went onto the ground. Just a little bit of luck here for Wynnum Manly. The ball just gets flicked up almost there. Mal Green, what a brilliant pick-up that one was though, and then through the line of defence, fired the ball out to Phil Attell, and he goes across in the corner for Wynnum Manly and the 1986 Wynnum Manly Grand Final.
Wally Lewis is going to take the conversion attempt, only half a metre in from touch. Hits it well, just swings away from the post. It was headed towards that right-hand upright. So the score remains Wynnum Manly 14, Brothers 6, 8 points in it with 5 minutes to go. In fact, Lewis has had a few shots for goal this season and has a better record than Colin Scott when it comes to success. He's landed 9 from 13 throughout the Winfield Cup.
Ross Strudwick, knowing how close he came, so close and yet so far, he realises that his players gave it everything. They just couldn't hold on. They led 6-4 at half-time, and Wynnum Manly did control play much better in the second half. They were methodical about it. They made sure that their top players got into gear. They didn't make the same mistakes they made in the first half. It was a grafting win. It had to be grafting against such a committed defensive effort from Brothers.
Slowly to his feet is Miles. Lewis taking on the role of a battering ram straight up the middle. Not giving Brothers a chance. Dowling and Lewis must have taken 2/3 of the tackles over the last 10 minutes. Ratteri. Moving it out to Miles. Away goes the punt. O'Brien takes it well. Still going. Williams from dummy half. 2 minutes to go in the match. Clock stopped. Bailey takes the tackle. Staines, Lindner over the top. Lindner's been strong in defence throughout the match. O'Brien getting attention for a shoulder injury for Brothers. Smith, Bailey tries a little chip through. Grogan coming through for it. Handballs it away from Miles. Went forward, keeping it on the toe. Away from Colin Scott. Grogan has it, but the referee will call it back for the original knock-on from Grogan. So the scrum will pack down 25 metres out. Brothers still trying right to the final whistle to add to their total. They've fought hard today. They've done what many people didn't think they could do, and that's take Wynnum Manly right to the wire. Penalty to Brothers.
People just starting to leave, but they certainly had their money's worth. We've had an exceptional game of football here. I thought Brothers played particularly well, especially in the first half, and in the second half they still tried everything they could, but Wynnum Manly just too strong on the day.
Bailey takes the tap from what was the first penalty of the second half for Brothers. Out it comes now. Accelerating is McCarthy. Kilroy from dummy half for the line. Kilroy jumps through the tackle, reaches out. No try, says the referee. Didn't get the ball down. Went ever so close, Joe Kilroy. Gets a tap from Wally Lewis.
Let's have a look at this. Kilroy showing great determination. Wynnum Manly just standing off a touch. And look at Kilroy, put his head down and go for the line. Dives at it, reaches out. Oh, gee, I reckon he got that ball down.
Lewis takes the tap.
What a fine game Lewis has had. A real captain coach's knock, if you like. He's got in there in the second half. He's grabbed Wynnum Manly, put them together. Gene Miles, whilst a couple of silly passes were thrown, he did his job also. And I thought Bob Lindner had an outstanding match for Wynnum Manly as well.
Only 30 seconds to go in this grand final. Lewis once more. Well, Lewis is doing all the work, making no mistake, allowing nothing to chance. Dowling once more. Lettieri at dummy half. Brothers still tackling. Courageous performance from them. Lewis. And that's full time. Wynnum Manly have won the 1986 Grand Final by 14 points to 6, defeating Brothers. What a performance from both sides, a fitting end to the season. Both teams have given it everything they possibly could. The class of Wynnum Manly finally winning out.
A great effort from Wynnum Manly. There they are being congratulating one another. They had to do it tough. It wasn't an easy game. Look at that, the hands in together, all for one and one for all. Wynnum Manly, and they did it very, very well. They came up against a very, very committed Brothers side. Wally Lewis, relief. There's Peter Dawes, he's hugging Peter Dawes. Peter Dawes, a courageous effort to even play in the first instant. And Brothers took them right down to the wire. I thought Brothers played particularly well. It was in the second half that Wynnum Manly realised just what dire straits they were in, just how hard they had to work to win this particular match. And I think Brothers really extracted every ounce of courage and guts that was possibly in Wynnum Manly. What a fine effort it was from Wynnum Manly to come back, and Brothers ensured that they had to go all the way. Good effort from Ross Strudwick. He had the side well prepared. He had them playing the very best football they were capable of, and in doing that, of course, a coach can do no more. He had them leading 6 points to 4 in the first half. He had them tackling tenaciously right through the whole match, and really Wynnum Manly had to pull out all stops. Wynnum Manly and Wally Lewis had to pull out all stops. When they needed a try, it was Lewis who scored the try. When they needed the tackles, it was Lewis who was making the tackles. He was running them up in midfield. There's Strudwick. He's got his boys together. He's got his arms around them saying, fellas, I'm basically proud of you. You've done all I could have asked of you. And, well, he might. I think he's really saying, that's good effort, fellows. And he could be justly proud.
And it was a great effort from Brothers. They really took it to Wynnum Manly in the first 40 minutes of the match. And it was only that second half comeback from Wynnum Manly finally got on top.
There's Strudwick. He's getting his boys to come over to the outer side of the ground, and it wouldn't surprise that he's just going to thank the support that he's got. He just wants them over on his side of the field.
Remaining boycotting countries, the people who are not here, won 21 gold medals, or 15%. So the ratio is 85% for those who are here